One day he's there, fully present in your life. The next day he's gone. No dramatic exit, no long explanation, no final argument. Just gone. And if you're waiting for him to come back, I need to tell you something important. He's not coming back. And here's why. I've seen this pattern play out countless times, and people always react the same way. Confusion, hurt, anger. How could he just leave without saying anything? How could he disappear after everything we shared? Doesn't he owe me an explanation? But here's what most people don't understand about Sigma males. By the time he disappears, he's already given you dozens of explanations. You just weren't listening. And by the time he's gone, the decision is so final in his mind that coming back isn't even a possibility he considers. Today, I'm breaking down exactly why Sigma males use the disappearing act, what leads up to it, and why it's actually the most honest thing they can do in certain situations. Oh, and by the way, I've got something very special for you. Sigma's Black Book of Untouchable Power. It's an ebook that contains the forbidden secret knowledge that will turn you into the man others fear and respect. Grab it in the description section or pinned comment below. Let's get into this. Reason 1. He's been communicating the problems for months. So here's the thing people miss about the Sigma male's disappearance. It's never actually sudden. It just feels sudden to you because you weren't paying attention to all the warnings that came before. The Sigma male doesn't do dramatic confrontations. He doesn't pick big fights about what's bothering him. He doesn't issue ultimatums or make threats. Instead, he communicates clearly and calmly when something isn't working for him. I need more space. That's communication. I don't appreciate being spoken to that way. That's communication. This isn't aligning with my values. That's communication. But because he delivers these messages calmly, without anger or drama, people often don't register them as serious warnings. They think, oh, he mentioned that, but he didn't seem that upset about it, so it's probably not a big deal. Wrong. When a Sigma male tells you something bothers him, he's giving you critical information. The fact that he's not screaming or threatening to leave doesn't mean it's not important. It means he's mature enough to communicate clearly without emotional manipulation. So he mentions the issue once, twice, maybe 3 times over weeks or months. Each time calmly, each time clearly. And nothing changes. Or you dismiss his concerns. Or you promise to change but don't actually change. And he's keeping track. Not in a petty way, but in a pattern recognition way. He's watching to see if his communication matters, if his boundaries are respected, if you actually care about what he needs in the relationship. When he realizes his words aren't creating any change, he stops wasting his breath, and he starts making exit plans. By the time he disappears, he's already tried the communication route multiple times. You just didn't take it seriously. Reason 2. He's done the cost-benefit analysis. The Sigma male doesn't make decisions emotionally. He makes them analytically. And before he disappears, he's done a thorough cost-benefit analysis of the relationship. He's looked at what he's putting in versus what he's getting out. The energy he's investing versus the fulfillment he's receiving. The compromises he's making versus the value being added to his life. And he's concluded that the math doesn't work. This isn't cold or heartless. It's practical. Life is finite. Energy is finite. Time is the only resource you can never get back. And the Sigma male takes this seriously enough to make hard decisions about where he invests himself. If a relationship, friendship, or situation is net negative for him, he removes himself from it. Not out of spite, not to punish anyone, just as a practical decision about how to spend his limited time on Earth. And here's what makes the disappearance final. Once he's done this analysis and reached a conclusion, he's not going to keep revisiting the same data, hoping for different results. He's looked at the patterns. He's seen what's not working. He's given opportunities for change. The analysis is complete. Now, some people hear this and think, but relationships aren't spreadsheets. You can't just calculate whether someone is worth keeping in your life. But that's exactly what everyone does, whether they admit it or not. The difference is that most people do it unconsciously and emotionally. The Sigma does it consciously and rationally. Same process, different approach. And once the analysis is done and the conclusion is reached, there's no emotional waffling. No, maybe I should give it another chance. No, but what about the good times we had? He made a decision based on clear data, and he's acting on that decision. Period. Reason. 3. He knows explaining won't change anything. This is where people get most frustrated. But he didn't even give me a chance to fix things. He didn't explain what was wrong. Except he did explain. Multiple times. And nothing changed. So why would one final dramatic explanation be any different? The Sigma male has learned through experience that most exit conversations are useless. The person who wouldn't listen to calm, clear communication over months isn't suddenly going to have a breakthrough during one emotional final conversation. What actually happens in these exit conversations? The other person gets defensive. They make promises to change that they won't keep. They cry or get angry to manipulate the situation. They make the conversation about their feelings rather than addressing the actual issues. They make commitments in the moment that won't survive contact with reality. The Sigma has been through this enough times to know how it goes, and he's decided it's not worth the energy. Not because he's cruel, but because he's learned that these conversations rarely produce anything except more drama and false hope. By disappearing without explanation, he's actually being more honest than if he sat through a 2-hour conversation where he pretends there might be a chance to fix things when he knows there isn't. The disappearance is the explanation. The relationship didn't work. The boundaries weren't respected. The patterns didn't change. Done. Is this harsh? Maybe, but it's also clean. There's no ambiguity, no false hope, no drawn-out emotional manipulation. Just a clear message. This is over, and I'm moving on. Some people can handle that honesty, others can't. But the Sigma isn't responsible for managing other people's ability to handle reality. At reason 4, he's protecting his decision from being negotiated. Here's something most people don't understand about the disappearing act. It's not just about leaving, it's about making sure the leaving sticks. The Sigma male knows that if he has a long conversation about why he's leaving, the other person will try to negotiate. They'll promise to change. They'll make concessions. They'll create a logical argument for why he should stay and give it another chance. And here's the thing. Some of those arguments might even be convincing in the moment. That's exactly why he doesn't have the conversation. He's already made his decision based on long-term patterns, not short-term promises. He knows what needs to happen for the relationship to work, and he knows it's not going to happen. Not because the other person is bad, but because the fundamental incompatibility is too deep. By disappearing without negotiation, he's protecting himself from being talked into staying in a situation he's already determined isn't right for him. He's taking the decision out of the realm of debate and making it a done deal. Think about it like this. If you've decided to quit a job that's making you miserable, do you really want to sit through a 2-hour meeting where your boss tries to convince you to stay? Promises things will be different? Offers you slightly better conditions that don't actually address the fundamental problems? Number. You want to give your notice, finish your 2 weeks, and move on. The Sigma just skips the 2 weeks because there's no professional obligation requiring it in personal relationships. The disappearance protects the boundary. It makes the decision non-negotiable. And it prevents him from being emotionally manipulated into reversing a choice he made with clear eyes and a calm mind. Reason 5. He's already emotionally detached before he physically leaves. By the time a Sigma male disappears physically, he's already been gone emotionally for a while. This is another thing people don't understand. The emotional detachment process happens gradually, usually over weeks or months. Every time his boundaries are violated, every time his communication is ignored, every time the relationship proves it's not what he needs, he detaches a little more. It's not a conscious process most of the time. It's a protective mechanism. His investment naturally decreases to match the return he's getting on that investment. He pulls back emotionally to protect himself from continued disappointment. So by the time he physically leaves, there's no emotional attachment left to overcome. He's not going to miss you in the way you might miss him, because he's already done his grieving. He's already processed the loss of what he hoped the relationship could be. This is why he can leave so cleanly. There's no internal conflict. No part of him is torn between staying and going. He's already worked through all of that during the months of detachment. The physical departure is just catching up to the emotional reality that's already occurred, and this is also why he doesn't come back. There's nothing to come back to emotionally. That bridge didn't just burn. It was slowly dismantled piece by piece over time until there was nothing left but empty air where a connection used to be. People who didn't notice the emotional detachment happening are shocked by the physical departure. But anyone paying attention could have seen him leaving long before he actually left. Reason 6. He values peace more than closure. Most people think closure comes from conversations, from explanations, from processing together and coming to mutual understanding about why things ended. The Sigma male thinks closure comes from the ending itself. The situation is over. That's the closure. Everything else is just drama. He's not interested in a dramatic final scene where everyone says their piece and has their feelings validated. He's interested in extracting himself from a situation that wasn't working and moving forward with his life. And the fastest, cleanest way to do that is to just leave. No long conversation means no opportunity for it to turn into an argument. No final meetup means no risk of physical or emotional confrontation. No detailed explanation means no point-by-point debate about whose version of reality is correct. He chooses peace over closure because he values his mental and emotional energy more than he values following social scripts about how relationships are supposed to end. And honestly, this approach usually creates less long-term damage than the alternative. A clean break hurts sharply, but heals faster than a messy, drawn-out ending with multiple false starts and reconciliation attempts that just prolong the pain. The Sigma understands this, not because he's trying to be kind, though it is arguably kinder in the long run, but because he's optimizing for the outcome he wants, complete and permanent separation with minimal ongoing drama. Reason 7. His identity isn't tied to the relationship. This might be the most fundamental reason of all. The Sigma male never merged his identity with the relationship, so leaving doesn't require him to reconstruct who he is. Most people, when they're in relationships or close friendships, start to define themselves partially through that connection. We becomes a big part of their identity, their routines, their social circles, their self-concept. It all gets intertwined with the relationship. The Sigma maintains his individual identity throughout. He has his own goals, his own interests, his own life that exists independent of any relationship. The relationship is a part of his life, not the foundation of his identity. So when he decides to leave, he's not leaving behind pieces of himself. He's just removing one element from his life that was no longer serving him. His core identity, his sense of self, his daily structure, it all remains intact. This makes leaving easier and coming back unnecessary. He's not experiencing that common post-breakup identity crisis where he doesn't know who he is without the other person. He knows exactly who he is. He was that person before the relationship, during the relationship, and he'll be that person after the relationship. There's no mourning period where he questions his decision. No lonely nights where he wonders if he made a mistake. No temptation to reach out just to see how they're doing, because the relationship was never a core part of his identity to begin with. This isn't coldness, it's healthy boundaries and a strong sense of self. But it does mean that once he's gone, he stays gone, because he's not leaving behind anything he needs to come back for. So let's address the never coming back part directly, because this is what really messes with people's heads. When a Sigma male ends something, he ends it completely. No breadcrumbing. No checking in 6 months later. No late night texts when he's feeling nostalgic. No orbiting on social media. Clean break, permanent exit. Why? Because he understands that half measures don't work. You can't be kind of gone. You can't sort of end a relationship. You're either in or you're out. And once he's decided he's out, there's no percentage in maintaining any connection whatsoever. Staying in touch would accomplish nothing except prolonging pain and creating false hope. It would prevent both people from moving on fully. And the Sigma is ruthlessly practical about these things. If the relationship didn't work, why would friendship work? If the patterns were destructive, why maintain any connection at all? Plus, he's genuinely moved on. He's not sitting around thinking about what could have been or whether he made the right choice. He made a decision, executed that decision, and directed his attention to what's next in his life. The past is the past. This permanence is also about respect, in a way. By making a clean exit and staying gone, he's forcing both people to actually move forward. No limbo, no false hope, no drawn-out transition period. Just a clear ending that allows new beginnings. Some people see this as cold or cruel. But staying connected out of guilt or obligation, when you know the relationship is over, that's actually crueler in the long run. It just stretches out the pain and delays the inevitable. If a Sigma male has disappeared from your life, I know this is hard to hear, but you need to accept it's permanent. He's not coming back. He's not going to realize he made a mistake. He's not going to miss you and reach out. And that's not because you're not worth it, or because he's heartless. It's because he made a well-considered decision that the relationship wasn't working, and he's following through on that decision. Your best option is to do the same. Don't wait around hoping he'll come back. Don't keep checking to see if he's unblocked you or if he's viewed your social media. Don't hold on to the relationship emotionally while he's moved on mentally. Accept that it's over. Grieve what you lost. Learn from what went wrong. And redirect your energy toward building a life that doesn't include him. Because the Sigma has already done all of that. He grieved the relationship before he left it. He learned from what didn't work. And he's redirected his energy toward whatever comes next. The only question is whether you're going to do the same or whether you're going to stay stuck hoping for a return that will never happen. The Sigma male's disappearing act isn't cruelty. It's clarity. It's the final, unambiguous communication after months of clear communication that was ignored. It's the logical conclusion of a cost-benefit analysis that didn't add up. It's the protection of a boundary that needed protecting. Is it harsh? Sometimes. but it's honest. And in a world full of people who string others along, who give false hope, who can't make clean decisions about relationships, the Sigma's decisive exit is actually a form of respect. He respected himself enough to leave what wasn't working. And he respected you enough to make it a clean break, rather than a drawn-out disaster. The question is whether you'll respect yourself enough to accept it and move forward. If you've experienced this disappearing act, either as the one who left or the one who was left, drop a comment with the word "gone" and share how it affected you. And if you want to understand more about the Sigma male's approach to relationships, boundaries, and decision-making, hit that subscribe button. I break down this psychology every week. Until next time, make decisions you can live with and execute them without looking back.